Uh-oh.
Okay, we'll start with this. A lengthy comment. A lengthy read from one doping expert, Victor Conte, explaining Claressa Shields' situation, though why Victor would feel so inclined to explain anything still seems a mystery to me. Victor said, update for boxing, what many failed to realize is that Claressa Shields was hugging and kissing family members and lots of others congratulating her after the fight for about 30 minutes and just before the swab saliva test sample was collected. Somebody in the locker room said they saw far more than 50 people congratulating Claressa with hugs and kisses, and it now seems this activity may have been a source of exposure that caused her positive test for marijuana. The trace amount found in the saliva swab test was 3.4 nanograms. It is important to understand the laboratory reference range. The screening cutoff is 4 and the confirmed cutoff is 2. These amounts are in parts per billion. Claressa has always been a clean athlete. A mouth saliva test for marijuana is not common in boxing or in any other sport. The swab saliva test is primarily used for pre-employment screenings and law enforcement. Urine is the sample used for marijuana testing in Olympic sport and for reasons likely involving fewer possible sources of contamination. There are many anti-doping entities, including the Nevada Commission and the UFC, that do not even test for marijuana because it is not considered a PED. My questions are as follows. Why would a doping control officer possibly watch an athlete hugging and kissing people for 30 minutes and then ask them to collect a mouth swab sample? It is feasible that direct observation of so many possible sources of contamination is part of the standard specimen collection protocol. Victor's got some questions, but I've got one or two of my own. How exactly did Victor come across all of this information? Because you have to understand it's confidential. If you contract VADA to conduct a testing for a fight, whatever they find or whatever they don't is privileged information exclusive to the affected parties, the fighters and their teams, none of which should involve Victor Conte. Now, Claressa Shields, while she is a Snack Systems athlete, Snack ain't nothing but a supplement company. Creatine, protein bars, stuff like that. I find it suspicious that Victor would have been privy to so many elements of the case, so much information in such a short amount of time. So fast. And why? Because Claressa Shields uses your products. So while all of this is going on behind the scenes, what? Did Claressa herself make Victor Conte privy to what was going on? And if she did, why? Had a lofty explanation available. The smoking gun is not that Claressa Shields may have tested positive for marijuana. The smoking gun is that Victor was too Johnny on the spot with a lofty explanation. What do you care? I haven't seen an article published from Ring Magazine or Boxing Scene detailing the matter, not yet, but Victor seems pretty clued in. And why is that? How'd you come across all this information? Because I don't think it would be at all ethical for VADA to disclose somebody else's information to Victor Conte. He's not exactly an involved party, or is he? And if he is, to what extent is Victor involved? That he took the time out to write this lengthy explanation with his own insights and rhetorical questions. Why would he do that? You know that it was just a rumor up until Victor, in so many words, confirmed it. It was just a rumor that was going around that Claressa Shields popped hot for something. So that when Victor Conte comes out with not one, but two very lengthy statements, lengthy explanations, it's almost like he's trying to get ahead of the rumor, get ahead of the story. But why? Why would you feel the need to do that? Outwardly, it all looks a certain way. Because like I said, Up until Victor chimes in, it was little more than just a rumor. And why is he chiming in? Why does he feel the need to explain anything on Claressa's behalf? Are you running interference for her?
Because she bought a couple of protein bars?
Victor's comments could be relegated to professional insights because he is an expert in the field, or he was. He knows all about doping and how to beat a test, though at the same time, some of these details are pretty intimate. She's hugging people, and it was 50 or so, maybe more. How do you know that? How did you come across that information? Did someone tell you? And if they did, why? And why are you providing assurances that she is a clean athlete? Why are you making assurances on her behalf? What exactly is the nature of your relationship with Claressa, if there is one? Because you don't do this for everybody.
Outwardly, it all looks a certain way.
In men's lightweight news, some revealing insights into the mind of Gervonta Davis ahead of his upcoming fight with Lamont Roach. He said, "My biggest fear is being embarrassed, especially in front of all these people worldwide."
That explains a lot.
You become this meme for decades. I ain't got time for that. I ain't trying to go out and get my butt kicked.
We can tell based on how they match you.
I can't. It's just my pride. He's not going to win. You better be ready. I'll try not to fall out of my chair with excitement that Gervonta Davis is fighting another 130-pounder at 135 when Shakur Stevenson was available.
And there was, and still is, much more of a demand for a Davis versus Stevenson fight than Davis versus Roach. Nobody was asking for Davis versus Roach.
And so Lamont Roach has become subject to some not so nice things, not so nice criticisms, because people don't feel that he's up to the task.
It's not that people are trying to take shots at him, it's that they don't have any illusions about him either, or what's going to happen when the opening bell sounds, that he may struggle with it.
He may not like it, but nobody thinks he's going to win this fight, and because they don't, he just seems like more cannon fodder, more low-hanging fruit, more easy prey for Gervonta Davis, which explains just how fearful he is of one day being embarrassed.
His fear of humiliation, that if he's been matched so soft for so long, so many years, it's because of that fear of humiliation.
They're never going to put him in a fight where he isn't heavily favored to win, and this is just another chapter in the same book, though some still hold to Gervonta Davis going up to bat for him.
In defense of this fight, in defense of his choice.
A popular imbecile on Twitter who goes by the name Ray Jackson said, "Boxing fans don't know shit about boxing. Mofos be thinking a fighter is good because he has a belt."
Aren't you the guy that thought Spence was going to beat Crawford? Why'd you think that?
Dennis Berinchyk may have been the worst champion of all time. It's a tie between him, George Kambosos, and Saddam Ali. To which a Twitter user that goes by the name Most Hated responded, "Roach lost to a washed Jamel Herring."
Lamont Roach, the same Lamont Roach that Gervonta Davis is fighting.
The same Gervonta Davis that this beached whale is a big fan of.
And so the beached whale responded and bounced back to become a world champion. Y'all always leave that part out.
But didn't you just say that the boxing fans put too much emphasis on having an alphabet title and that having one doesn't make you a good fighter? Does that logic not apply to Lamont Roach? If having an alphabet title doesn't mean anything, why would it all of a sudden start meaning something for Lamont Roach? Is it because your man crush is about to fight him? Is that it?
I don't even know why he's trying to defend that fight, because it's not like he's gonna buy it. He's not gonna purchase the pay-per-view. He's gonna steal it, like he steals everything else.
This past weekend, Keyshawn Davis saw himself opposite the ring an unbeaten Dennis Berinchyk, reigning WBO champion, and made short work of him. And it's not that Dennis Berinchyk is the most solid or the most dangerous guy, but at least he's a guy at the same weight as Keyshawn, whereas Gervonta is bringing up another super featherweight.
If you don't want to give a guy credit for beating a champion at his own weight, then why should we give Gervonta credit for fighting a guy at a lower one?
A smaller one. From the time that Lamont Roach was thoroughly outclassed by Jamel Herring, what high-profile victory did he amass? What big name, what big fight did he have?
What, Hector Luis Garcia?
Hector was coming off a knockout loss to Gervonta Davis at 135 before he dropped back down to 130 and lost again. And you're telling me that you give Lamont Roach more credit for beating him than you give Keyshawn for beating unbeaten Dennis?
Are you stupid?
Yes, he is. And that's why I'm looking forward to this being Gervonta Davis's last year in the sport of boxing. He's been talking a lot about retirement, retiring. He wants to do other things. Go do them and take the Ray Jacksons of the world with you.
The other guy's in danger of slipping into a diabetic coma.
Because once Gervonta Davis is gone, I'm telling you, a lot of these guys are not going to stick around because a lot of these guys are not actually fans of boxing. For all the guys that are like Ray Jackson, and they only really like a small cluster of fighters, the guys like Errol Spence and Gervonta Davis. Those fighters that fight on the PBC side of things, they're running out of reasons to keep watching this sport. Errol hasn't fought in well over a year since Terrence kicked his ass. If Gervonta retires this one,
it's one less guy to watch, one less reason to keep watching, so you can go away.
Stick to watching the Dallas Cowboys not win the Super Bowl, not make it there. Stick to doing that. Boxing ain't for you.
Gervonta Davis's fear of humiliation.
Fear of losing? Listen, I don't think any professional fighter wants to lose or wants to get comfortable losing. But it's an occupational hazard, and leaving the sport of boxing with an unblemished record is a rarity. It doesn't often happen. The very best of the best fighters, often they do end up losing because they're fighting the best. If Gervonta retires without having done that,
it's because he didn't. He wasn't fighting the best. He wasn't fighting the best 130-pounders when he was there, or the best 135-pounders, the best 140-pounders.
Wasn't fighting the best, has no intention to, so of what use is he to the sport of boxing? So that morons like Ray Jackson have something to tweet about while they watch illegal streams?
Go away.
You and your scripted boxing career that's tantamount to an episode of Monday Night Raw on the WWE.
The outcome of your fights may as well be preordained from how soft you are matched.
Lamont Roach is not a quality scalp for a guy who's been in a lightweight division since 2019. Gervonta Davis has no quality scalps in the lightweight division. He didn't fight the best ones.
And he's not about to, so you might as well pack it up, Buttercup.
Take your dumbass fans with you. And finally, in men's 140-pound news, after this weekend's staring contest between Arnold Barboza and Jack Catterall, Arnold beat Jack to earn a shot at Teofimo Lopez's title.
He won't get it.
Manchester, England. Arnold Barboza edged past Jack Catterall to win a split decision at the Co-op Live Arena. Barboza Jr., 32-0 with 11 KOs, narrowly defeated the home favorite Catterall, 30-2 with 13 KOs, in a close contest for the WBO Junior Welterweight interim title, and will hope to fight the full champion Lopez next. Their fight, perhaps, was one for the purists. Both struggled to consistently implement their style and to dictate the pace at which they were fighting. There was little to separate them in the opening round. Both had a look at each other, and with so much on the line, neither wanted to make a mistake. Catterall, 31, edged closer and landed a looping southpaw left and just missed with a right that glanced the top of Barboza's head. Again, neither truly wanted to commit in the second round. Both edged forwards and fired in their jabs. Catterall then landed the shot of the round with a sharp right hand that came over the top of Barboza's left. Both similarly started the third, waiting to capitalize on a mistake from the other. They were often fencing with their lead hands, and it took Barboza Jr., 33, whipping in a body shot to bring the fight to life. Catterall took the shot well, and he returned a left hand that knocked Barboza's head back. The action heated up further in the fourth round. Both men it seemed to have found their range and started to throw with more intent. Barboza Jr. again was able to land his wild hooks to the body, and Catterall fired up sharp lefts to the head. Catterall intensified his efforts in the fifth. He whipped in a left to Barboza Jr.'s body and followed it up, doing so with one to the head. Catterall seemed to have the reading of Barboza Jr.'s style, and the shots that were landing to his body were now whistling past as he pivoted away from danger. Catterall again pushed the pace in the sixth. He fired a left, followed by a right, moments after the opening bell, but they glanced the chin of Barboza. The American responded well and landed a right of his own before the round closed. He had his best round in the seventh, which he started by landing two hard rights to Catterall's body, and as the round went by, he turned his attention to the head and landed two thudding rights to the top of Catterall's. Barboza Jr. also had a good eighth round when catching Catterall as he came in, and by using his longer arms to land glancing blows as the Chorley fighter came out. Their fight remained finely balanced as the ninth round approached, and it proved another difficult one in which to separate them. Catterall landed the cleaner work of the two, but Barboza was still able to land blows.
I said it several times in the build-up ahead of the fight that this is not going to be a fan-friendly fight.
Two guys like this, two movers, two boxers, and it's for this reason that I actually took yesterday afternoon as an opportunity to catch Anthony Mackie in Captain America. Good movie.
Though in the spirit of transparency, I thought Jack was going to win. I had Jack winning a points decision ahead of the fight.
Now, seeing the end result, it would seem that Arnold Barboza is in a pole position to challenge Teofimo for the brown belt, though I don't think he will oblige him. I don't think Teo will give Arnold that opportunity. He's never wanted to fight that guy. Taller, longer.
When they were both at top rank.
Stylistically, it's not a good fight for Teofimo Lopez. He doesn't fare well against taller, longer movers and boxers. Arnold wasted no time calling him out.
Teofimo was back against corner. Now people know why that he's been ducking me, man, for the past 4 years. So now it's time for him to put up or shut up and vacate, man. So let's see what he does.
Ring Magazine potentially doing a show at Alcatraz with Teofimo Lopez. How good does that sound for yourself?
Man, I think if you put me and Teofimo on Alcatraz, man, that's gonna be an amazing war. That one I'm coming to war. So my manager's getting on it. Trust me, he's going to Saudi. He's probably going straight to Saudi after this. So he's gonna talk to Turkey, man, and see what we can do.
So Arnold wasted no time calling out Teofimo. Teofimo wasted no time responding. He said, "It's an interim belt. Relax, buddy. Not classified as a world title. I don't care how any of you make it seem. You know who the real champion is. But will the real champion defend his status?"
What I hadn't considered is what Arnold suggested, that Rick Merrigan might go to Saudi and see if he can't get Turkey to bankroll this show to do this fight.
There's been a lot of talk about Turkey staging his Ring Magazine cards in exotic locations. Alcatraz prison being one, now a museum. The walls would seem to be closing in on Teofimo, who's been calling out Richardson Hitchins for a fight. A unification match. Stylistically, I don't think that's a good fight for Teofimo, but I don't think this one is either.
Arnold is not the guy that's going to march forward standing right in front of you, giving you countering opportunities. He's taller than Teofimo, longer, and he's going to put distance between him and Teofimo, circling away, using his jab, being cautious and careful. All the stuff that Teofimo normally struggles with. Arnold is going to do that.
I made a suggestion in my previous video that perhaps Teofimo should bail on 140 pounds now, since he's going to anyway. Just get out of there, target a Mario Barrios fight so that you can become a 3-division champion in a fight that you're more favored to win, but understand that that was just a suggestion. There's no talks of a Lopez versus Barrios fight. We haven't heard much of anything from Mario Barrios. As far as I know, he's free, with no mandatories to satisfy, so it is something that Teofimo could explore.
But it's just a suggestion. I've heard no preliminary rumors, no rumblings, no news about a Lopez versus Barrios fight. And if he doesn't go that route and he finds himself opposite the ring either Richardson Hitchins or Arnold Barboza, he could lose in the not so distant future.
Hard to imagine that Teofimo will complete that 3 or 4 fight deal with Turkey without suffering his next loss.
It's coming.
No, I don't think it's going to end well for Teofimo.